Hola chicos, ¿cómo están? Hoy vamos a hablar sobre el pasado. El pasado está formado por el pretérito y el imperfecto. Hoy vamos a hablar de las reglas. ¿Cuándo usar pretérito? ¿Cuándo usar imperfecto? So it's very important that we're clear on the rules here since there are specific times when we're going to use the preterite and there are specific times when we're going to use the imperfect. They are not interchangeable, so it's important that we are aware of this. So let's start with the preterite. Regla número 1 dice, las acciones que son vistas y completadas por el hablante. Actions that are viewed as complete by the speaker. Camila fue al médico. As we can see, we're saying that Camila went in the past. At some point in the past, she went. She got done with it, right? It's completed by the speaker. While the imperfect describes past actions with no reference to beginning or end. So it can be an action that started in the past, but we're not sure it ended. It could be something that's still happening, or something that we are not sure when started or ended. Ejemplo, Camila esperaba los resultados de la prueba de sangre. Camila was waiting for the results. Does it mean that it occurred everything on a day or a period of time? That she was waiting. Maybe she waited for a while. That's what that imperfect is saying there. Not necessarily ended there. Regla número 2 del pretérito. Actions that begin and finish in the past. Ayer hice la tarea. You're sure that yesterday the person started doing her homework and finished doing her homework. It's an action that was started and ended in the past. Regla número 2 for the imperfect. Refers to actions that used to happen in the past. Yo hacía mi tarea en las tardes. What this means is that the person used to do, it was a habit. Every time that I did my homework, I did it in the afternoons. Something that happened more than once. Because if it would have happened once and you would have been done, it will be our rule number 2 for the predicate. Hice la tarea. Since it was we want to say that it's something that regularly happened. Hacía mi tarea. Ok, regla número 3 del pretérito. Mentioning a series of past actions or events. El profesor leyó y escribió ejemplos de la tarea. So we're naming actions that happened in the past. Leyó, escribió, right? We're not saying that these actions are continuous. We're not saying that they happen more than once. We're just describing a series of actions that happen. So, therefore, we're going to write them in the predicate form. Regla número 3 del imperfecto. Describe the appearance, emotional state, or characteristics. So remember we talked about stating backgrounds. So we wanted to say, when we want to mention how something looked, how someone looked, what was their emotional or mental state, what was their age, or what time was it, how it looked. These are gonna be this all in the imperfect when you're setting the background, setting that look, that feeling, that ambience, that all that is gonna be described in the imperfect. Let's look at the example. El profesor estaba muy triste porque los estudiantes no entendieron la tarea. We're talking about the teacher feeling sad. So since we're talking about an emotion, we're going to use the imperfect. Okay. So something really important to keep in mind when we're using this is that we can use predicate and imperfect within the same sentence. So in this case, we will be We'll use the imperfect to set the background, to describe what's going on, how everything looked, or how that person looked, how they were feeling maybe. And then we're going to use the predicate to use actions that to talk about actions that interrupt the event. So let's look at our example. Era un día soleado, it was a sunny day, we're describing how that looked, cuando Camilo llegó, when Camilo arrived. So you see how we're saying this is happening when this other thing happened. So again, era un día soleado, imperfecto, cuando, when, interrupted by Camilo arriving. Estaba montando bicicleta cuando me caí. I was riding a bike when I fell. Again, notice how I'm saying like what was happening, what was I doing, how I felt, how did it look when this other thing interrupts. Another thing to keep in mind are certain phrases that let us know when to use either the predicate or the imperfect. So for the predicate, we have words or phrases such as ayer, yesterday, anteayer, the day before yesterday, una vez, one time, dos veces, two times, tres veces, three times, el año pasado y de repente, which I'm gonna write really quick here. So for the predicate, we have ayer, coma, antes, ayer, oops, then una vez, dos veces, two times. So also remember times, tiempo are not necessarily the same translation. This time, times, when the times you do something once, twice, yeah, that's gonna be veces, dos veces, tres veces, okay? El año pasado, y de repente, suddenly. And I will add cuando, when, okay? For the imperfect, we have words that imply something that happened more than once, or when we're talking about your past. So the niño, as a child, de niño, todos los días, because it happened more than once, so every day, mientras, while, siempre, con frecuencia, siempre, remember, always, con frecuencia, frequently, y todas las semanas. So like I mentioned before, these are not the only occasions when you're gonna use imperfect or predicate, but these phrases or words are gonna help you keep this in mind, just because words such as ayer or anteayer, you're talking specifically at one time back in the past, about a specific action that started and ended in the past, meaning that's gonna be predicate. Well, if you look at the words for the imperfect, you're going to look at words that mean something that was habitual to you when you were a child, things that happen often with frequency, that happen every day or every week or every year, every month, meaning that it happened more than once. And like I said, when you're setting up that background in terms of feeling, emotions, physical characteristics, age, time, those are the things that you want to be looking for. Ok, chicos, si tienen preguntas, por favor, escríbame en el tablero de discusión las preguntas. Muchas gracias. Chao, feliz día.